Okay, so we really are diving deep today with this one. You sent this over about Iva Kroeger, this whole most dangerous woman in San Francisco thing, and wow. It's like reading a Modi script, but real life.
Yikes. Yeah, it's one of those cases that just gets under your skin, you know? What makes it really stick with you is what it says about people in general, like how far someone will go to get what they want, the masks we all wear, the havoc deception can cause.
And the way the article starts is just wild.
Mm.
Right away, you've got these kids, Iva's grandsons. They're just wandering around Oakland alone, 4 and 2 years old. Can you imagine?
Chilling, right. Immediately makes you wonder what Iva was thinking. Was it like some twisted attempt to keep them safe? Or did she need them out of the picture for something? Or maybe she was trying to reach out to family one last time before disappearing. It's a tangled web for sure, and that's just the beginning.
Makes you wonder, what could push someone to that point?
Mm.
And the deeper you go, you realize this wasn't a one-time thing. This Lucille Hooper thing. Years of cons and fake names.
It's classic con artist stuff, impersonating a war hero, making up these elaborate stories about bravery and hardship, playing on people's empathy. But the detail she went into, even claiming to have seen the Baton Death March, it makes you think, was it purely attention she craved? Or power? Or was it something more, a way to escape her own life?
It's like she was living in a fantasy world, and she pulled other people into it. And for a while it worked. Until she meets Mildred and Jay Arneson in Santa Rosa, right?
Things get really dark there.
Yeah.
The Santa Rosa murders, Iva becomes friends with this couple. They own this motel, the Rose City Motor Court. And that's when her manipulations get really scary.
Like convincing Mildred she's loaded. From some accident settlement, persuading her to cash out over $1,000 in traveler's checks for a trip to Brazil that never existed. It's chilling how she planned it all out.
Absolutely. Shows real premeditation. And then there's that comment she made years before. Remember when her stepson refused to live with her? She told someone, someday she'd hurt him the same way. He hurt her. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
So maybe those murders weren't only about the money. Maybe there was something deeper, a grudge she'd been holding on to.
Could be. But even without that, the way she set it all up, sending those letters to Mildred's family, copying her handwriting, it points to someone who's clever, but also seriously messed up.
And then the media blitz, ghostly grandma, dumpy grandma.
Yeah.
It's almost funny how they latched onto those descriptions. It's like they couldn't process that a grandmother could do something so horrific.
The media loves a good label, right? Especially with women who don't fit the mold. It's easier to slap on a stereotype than to actually grapple with the complexity.
But even with the cops closing in, Iva didn't crack. That part about the baby book, the reporter found it full of cards. I mean, come on. A woman her age claiming she just had a baby, it's like she couldn't stop making things up even when it didn't make sense.
Maybe it was an impulse, a need to control the story even as her own life was falling apart. Or maybe it goes even deeper, a sign of something psychologically off. This disconnect from reality that seemed to follow her everywhere.
And then she gets caught in a church, of all places.
This is almost too perfect, isn't it? This woman who lied about everything, finding refuge in a church, and who catches her, a World War II vet. But even then, even when she's caught, the article says she wouldn't take off her sunglasses, kept making excuses to leave the room.
Still trying to control the situation, right to the very end. Which brings us to the trial. And man, what a circus that must have been.
Yeah, her behavior in court. It's like something out of a movie, sneaking past the guards, glaring at the jurors, throwing a rosary at the assistant DA.
Was she trying to manipulate the jury? Or was it a total meltdown?
Hard to say, but I keep thinking about what the psychiatrist said. He called her naughty, said she lied with ingenuity, cruelty like a devil, not exactly what you want to hear about your mental state.
That's a rough assessment. Sounds like he saw right through her act. Recognized how calculated she was, how much she enjoyed manipulating everyone.
And even with all her antics, the jury found her guilty. But hold on, because it gets even wilder. She gets paroled after only 13 years. And that's where the article goes beyond just Iva. It's about the whole justice system. The parole board said she was a model prisoner. Oh, and her eyesight was going. That's why they let her out.
Wait, her eyesight? Wasn't that part of the con? Learning Braille? Going to UC Riverside? And then in Florida, poof, she can see again.
Right. Makes you think, was she playing the long game all along? Pretending to be disabled to get out early?
Right.
If that's true, it's unbelievable.
It's scary how good she was at this stuff. Reinventing herself.
Yeah.
Keeping everyone guessing. And for a long time, she pulled it off.
That's what's so unsettling. How do you protect yourself from someone who's that good at lying? When even their disabilities could be fake, it makes you question everything.
Absolutely. And then there's Florida. Years after she supposedly went blind, she's accused of making death threats. And suddenly, No more vision problems.
It's like she couldn't help herself. Those instincts came right back. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe paranoia. Or a warped sense of justice.
Just like that she's back to her old ways.
And the thing is, we don't really know what went down in Florida. It's like a loose end. Did she talk her way out of it, or did she disappear again? So many questions.
Every time you think you're getting close to figuring her out, Iva throws you a curveball. Even her death certificate, the article mentions it, lists her as a homemaker, next of kin, a social worker. It's like one last con.
A fitting end, right? All that drama and intrigue. And her final act is this quiet little deception. Makes you think about how we try to control how we're remembered. Did she finally find some peace at the end? Or was she still haunted by everything she'd done?
Tough to imagine someone like Iva Kroeger at peace, especially with so much left unsaid, so many mysteries.
That's the power of a story like this, though. It sticks with you, makes you think about what drives people, the lies we tell ourselves and others, the blurry line between sanity and just plain crazy.
It's been a wild ride, this deep dive, full of surprises and unsettling details. But it really makes you think.
You know what gets me? Iva Kroeger forces you to question how you judge people. Here's this woman who is a master manipulator, capable of terrible things, but she was also a mother, a grandmother. It reminds us that people are complicated. Truth isn't always black and white.
No, it's not. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the life and times of Iva Kroeger. And one thing's for sure, we've only scratched the surface. There are still so many unanswered questions, loose ends waiting to be tied up.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe the best we can do is keep asking questions, keep digging into the mystery, and decide for ourselves what it all means.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you'll join us next time for another fascinating look into the stranger side of history. And remember, sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.